Our Constitution is being shredded. We know about the secret wiretaps. We know about the secret military tribunals, the secret White House email accounts.
Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hillary Clinton, and as we played before, that was in 2007, so almost 8 years ago, June 20th, and you heard what she was saying. Different tune she's singing now. Actually, she's not singing at all. William Jacobson, law professor at Cornell Law School and director of Securities Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, joins us. Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Good to talk to you. Okay, you wrote a great piece and it asked the question, did Hillary use unsecured email for classified information? Well, I mean, if this is the only email she used and it was her personal account, then I guess the answer is yes, right?
Well, if she was receiving classified information via email, then absolutely she had no other way of getting it. It's hard to believe she didn't receive, if not technically classified, stamped classified, top secret, etc., at least things that we would normally think of as national security information. She was the Secretary of State. This was her main means of communicating with people. And so, yes, we have to assume that she did receive very sensitive information. But we need to know, was there any classified information? Because that raises it to a whole new level if she was receiving documents that required a certain level of security and was not handling them properly. But as of now, we only know that she was using essentially a jerry-rigged server in her house to receive information and emails for her entire time as Secretary of State, and she had no other email account for the government.
You know, Ari Fleischer said that in effect, every time she sent or received an email, she was CCing Iran, Russia, and China. And he's very afraid, and it brought to mind, right away you think of, she wants to be president of the United States. What does China, Russia, and Iran have on her? What about blackmail? What about all kinds of possibilities that this opens up?
Well, that's right. And even more troubling, though, is a lot of people today, they don't remember the bad old days of the Clintons in the 1990s and the shadiness and the secrecy and never really knowing what was going on because of their obsessive need to control everything. And this is just another reflection. This is taking us back to those bad old days when you never really knew. The Rose Law Firm billing records all of a sudden show up in the White House 2 years late. It brings back to memory all of these mid-'90s and late '90s scandals from the Clinton era. And it reminds us of what a problem she would be as a president. Anyone who would set up their essentially own secret email procedure to evade government control of the information, we don't really know what she got, what she deleted, who had access to it. And you're absolutely right. For all we know, the entire time she was Secretary of State, that the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians were reading her email. And given how poorly she did as Secretary of State, that might very well have been true.
Let me ask you this. Is it within reason to believe, as some of her supporters are saying, first of all, the supporters are all over the map, well, she just did what her predecessors did, which is, well, maybe she did, although, Colin Powell had both and Condoleezza Rice used no email, but the law was passed once she became Secretary of State. So it has nothing to do with what her predecessors do. The other excuse is, only now has that very complex law, very ambiguous law been clearly defined. So she really wasn't breaking it. Is it really reasonable to believe that the smartest woman in the world, as we're told she is, just couldn't understand, and a lawyer to boot, couldn't understand this law?
No, and it's very basic. It's preservation of records. It's subjecting her email, her official, not her personal, but her official email communications to the normal records that other government bodies have to abide by, which means that they would have been available when people sent Freedom of Information Act requests. They would have been available when subpoenaed by Congress. Instead, for several years, people have not realized that when the government has responded to Freedom of Information Act requests and to subpoenas and said it's given us everything, no, it hadn't, because there were at least 55,000 emails on her personal server, which she's turned over, and we don't know how many others that were not turned over. This is just very bizarre. It's almost like she set up her side government, her side computer government.
Yeah,
And
well, people are saying, yeah, I've heard before, a shadow government. But don't worry, Professor. If there's more emails, her staff and her, you know, she now tweeted out she wants the public to see her emails. So I'm sure they'll be up all night tonight and tomorrow and the night after, just making sure we see everything we need to see. Professor, thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Take care. All right, my friend Andrew Clavin from truthrevolt.org is next. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away.